We're live. So I'm going to put on a little bit of music. So this is Heather, remember? STAR, star, with Michael Beckwith. We're going to allow people to come in while we listen to this. All right.
Come to the temple, bathe in the presence of love.
How's it sound?
Echo of the warrior, lay down your sword. You've had enough. For I know you're weary, the battle has taken its toll. Illusion is shattering, the veil is rent. You're whole. So come to the fire and lay down the shame of the past. Blaze purifying, revealing your gold at last. For you hold the keys now, unlocking your shackles and chains. No longer a prisoner, you are now free and reclaimed. You're reclaimed. Surrender to my love. Trust that you're enough. Allow yourself to breathe and remember, 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 oh, remember, remember, remember who you are. So come to the mystery and give up the stories you've known. The path now collapsing and leading us all back to one. No longer divided, the fractals united in peace. And it's time to play now like children of love's destiny. Destiny. Surrender to my love. Trust that you're enough. Allow yourself to breathe and remember, 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 oh, remember, remember, remember who you are, who you are. You are the light of the world. You are the joy of the earth. You are the love of your life. So remember, so remember, so remember. remember, 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 oh, remember, remember, remember. You sing it with me? Oh, remember, 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 oh, remember, remember, remember. You are the night, so remember, oh, remember, remember, oh, remember, remember, remember who you are, who you are, who you are. Oh, so remember.
Wow, that was beautiful. That was a beautiful introduction. It's a little bit different to the normal shows. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? Alicia Love, Yvette Joulet, and a lot of other people. Give me a second to pull this up. I'm not going to do our normal roll call. Welcome to Soul Speaks 5D with Todd Medina and Morgan Lee. And we have a couple of beautiful guests, Divine Conscious Union, exemplifying in the physicality the highest manifestation of the ethers. And it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for coming, everybody. Thank you for your continued love and support and contributions to help us keep this going. And also, let me just apologize to the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 shows from the last 2 days. I wasn't up to being able to do the broadcast. So, but I knew I had to do this one tonight, and Morgan reminded me constantly. So she said, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. I said, I never intended not to do it. For some reason, I can't pull up the live on my phone. I'd like to say hi to everybody, but I can't get to you all right now, and I apologize for that. So let me just formally roll the show out. Soul Speaks 5D. For the first time, we're welcoming an energy that we've been trying to put out there, which is the Divine Conscious Union. This is an energy I wrote about, I think, yesterday. And this is an energy that actually can be duplicated in any type of relationship. But I think it does start with these types of frequencies of a masculine and a feminine incarnated, or at least energetically in the body. You know, so it's becoming more and more prevalent. We're all seeing it happening. We've had it happen to 3 of our friends, these fairy tale, ridiculous fantasies that just happen out of thin air. So let me welcome Jason Michael and Heather Grace Powers. They are the powers of love, ministers of love, music, devotional arts, and evolutionary divine union relationships. They help thousands of people across the planet to remember who they are through the power of I am, and learn to awaken the source of love within, which is the true solid foundation of all other relationships. There's a whole bunch more on the heading of the post that you're more than welcome to read. But I think for right now, let's just go ahead and conclude it there. And let me say again, hello to everybody, and thank you for your support. And welcome to the show. Welcome to Soul Speaks 5D, and thank you for honoring us with your presence and sharing space with us today. And thank you for the beautiful music.
Mahalo nui loa, brother.
So grateful to be here with you guys together.
Somebody said that to me yesterday, and I don't know what that means. Mahalo nui something. What was it?
Mahalo nui loa. It's deep gratitude. It's a deep reverence of the lands where you are in Kauai.
Wow.
Say aloha. And aloha literally is just that the God in me sees the God in you, and the aloha spirit we just invoke here in this exchange, because that is the divine love itself. And so honoring your consistency, your rhythm, your intentions to elevate, activate, and inspire consciousness, and raise the vibrations of the planet in the divine conversations you've had, and honoring you two and your divine union. You guys got married this year, right? This last year?
We got married last summer in June. June? Yeah.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yes, it's been so wonderful, because I think we've been kind of dancing around each other's circles and kind of like 1 degree apart. And so it's really good to be with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-oh. Did we lose you?
Nope,
Nope,
we're here.
we're here.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, I got two different things going on here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Morgan pointed y'all out to me. I don't know when it was. It was actually a couple of times, but you know, as the 3D memory goes and the masculine loss of hearing affects himself with age. I didn't remember, but yeah, and then quite a few people have reached out to me about the show and basically said, yeah, it's about time. So it's a pleasure to be here with you.
I have a question. You talk too much. How did you guys meet?
That's what I was about to ask.
I want to know how you two met.
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, great question.
Oh my gosh. You want me to start? Or you want to start?
Go ahead, love.
Well, when I was just early in my awakening about 7 years ago, I had gone through a really difficult passageway in about 16 months where my parents both passed, my marriage passed, and with that, because I came out of a very traditional, fundamental Christian realm where my whole career had been as a musician, and I began to wake up from that paradigm and really lost community, lost family, and during that course of time, I was researching. Something was happening in my soul. It was shifting really rapidly, and I was trying to figure out what it was. And I stumbled across a video on YouTube of this lion. and he literally had a lion hat on. But it was New Year's Day, and this message that he just shared, I recognized him. Like the deepest parts of me recognized him, and it was pure. It was not even romantic. It was like, I know this person in my soul. And so I reached out and just sent a message, and
I was recently gone through a divorce in 2011, and I had my awakening probably around 2001 when the Twin Towers went down and something shifted inside. I'm not sure if I had a walk-in or whatever, but something shifted. I had an opening, and I started going deep within, and really was actively about assisting the awakening on the planet. Very active with the 1111 Awakening Code page, and so I had a habit of vlogging and just inspiring people to believe in a power greater than what they know. And went through a divorce in 2011 and was dating, and then came across this message on YouTube from this beautiful being, and I was like, and I had somebody refer to me, said, somebody with red hair is coming in your world. And I noticed this little redhead picture on YouTube. I'm like, wait a second. But I was a music director of a radio station called Awakening Code Radio. And I was in the place to put new artists in there. And I thought she was just somebody looking for a shot at radio. And I dismissed it at first. I was in a purported twin flame relationship that was very high profile social media wise. And this whole twin flame dynamics. And it was what I know as the dark twin.
Check here.
Are we good?
Are you guys...
It shouldn't be happening. We're plugged in.
We good, you two?
All right, let me see.
Pausing. I dismissed it at first. I was in a purported twin flame relationship.
Give us 1 second.
No worries.
Social media wise, and this whole twin flame dynamics, and it was what I know as the dark twin. Are we good?
Are you guys?
All right. Hang on.
Pretty good, you two.
That's weird.
Pausing.
Keep going. Keep going. You can keep going.
No worries.
Do I keep going?
He just said keep
Oh,
going.
keep
Was
going.
that you?
Are we good?
There you are.
Oh, they're
Okay, we're back.
We're back.
That didn't happen. We have an Ethernet cord. I thought we were taking with it. But if it happens again, keep going. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
okay. Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Sorry about that.
New to this realm. So yeah.
A lot of energy.
And by the way, this is a beautiful crystal from the Kauai Hindu temple.
Wow.
That's a beautiful gift. It's actually a replica of the one in the temple.
Wow.
That when Heather and I first met, I was, like I said, I was in a really, I wasn't looking for a relationship at the time. I thought I had found somebody that I was involved with. And that burned out really fast, really quick, and left some scars in there. So when Heather and I first came together, it was just purely in pure friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And we dated distance. She was up in Marin in Northern California. And I was in my divorce, and I was in a place where we were just kind of, but we came together when she came down. She said she was coming down. And here's something I want to share with you listeners. The day that she said she said a message. She says, "I'm coming down, and when I see you, I want to kiss you."
That's what Morgan said.
I did not. No, I really didn't.
And here's what's crazy is that same day, I got a message from it was a mother of my son. It's a mother of a friend of Jet's, my son, at school. It was one of the mothers of the school. And she sent me a message that same day going, "Next time I see you, I want to kiss you." And I also got a message from one of my neighbors, and she was the classic seductress, lady in red. Watch out for the lady in red, Neo, in the Matrix. Watch out for her. And she came in going, "I'd love you to come on over. Let's get high." And let's get, and it was just like, I had 3 choices lined up before me this very same day. And I was just telling Heather this very story. I said, you know what? When that came through as a choose your own adventure choice, I really allowed my higher self to choose purity instead of the easy choice, which was local, or the lower chakra choice. It was like, choose what feels the most pure for myself. And that's kind of what began our journey.
And that was a really, really big piece for both of us because, when we came together, we'd both been in marriages prior. I had been in 2 marriages, had 2 marriages. I have 2 grown kids from my first marriage, a Michael. And the path of purity was not part of the equation. There was a lot of dark, toxic, feminine energy in my life, a lot of inconsistency and a lot of incongruity. Being in the church and really struggling with a lot of the energy that was very suppressive of the feminine, yet being in feminine in leadership in the church. And I had a lot of duplicity. And so it was so important. I had been, I'd really begun the self-work journey as I was waking up. And by the time we came together, we entered into it knowing that there would be things from both of our past, both of our sexual distortions, that would be a focal point of healing and clearing. And we came together and knew that sex, money, and power were going to be the things that we would heal and clear in this with the door closed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And one of the first times that, like I go back when she and I first met, as I was in this relationship, we'd agreed that we were going to meet with Heather, both of us, this other sister that I was with. And we thought, well, let's just take a meeting with her. And we met on Skype. And the relationship I was with at the time said she couldn't be there for whatever reason. She goes, go ahead. And so it was clear. But the moment I saw Heather, now I have a relationship with the fleur-de-lis that kept showing up all the time. And I saw her sitting on a chair with all these golden fleur-de-lis all around her. And I knew, pay attention. And in that very first call we ever did, it's hard to explain, but we decided to pray together. And when I prayed with her for the first time, something shifted so much. I said, I want to pray with this being for the rest of my life. And I was torn because there was something going, wait a second, this feels beyond what I can even understand. And to this day, prayer is what keeps us through the valleys and the fires of purification. That thread of that braid of three, the divine, is what binds us together in potent ways when it gets hot, and it gets hot.
You guys know.
Do you know what I mean? It gets hot.
You guys.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, that was our first question today. Well, she beat me to the first question. I was actually going to ask you the same one, but yeah, I think people look at. I say often on this show to people when it's a one-on-one, what do you do when the energy hits you? What do you do when the shift hits you?
Yeah.
How do you process? How do you do that on a personal level? Because so many of them are in a position of teaching, right? So yeah, and I think they look because people look at them and think, oh, they got it all together. And I think people look at couples, these divine conscious unions, and think, oh, they've got a free pass beyond the Mars Venus BS, and we don't. How do you guys handle that?
They do prayer. They just told us.
We do prayer, and
That's a whole lot.
and we've gone through a lot of fighting.
That's a whole lot.
I mean,
yeah.
You bring two worlds together, and you bring two very strong egos together in a lot of cases. I think the part
I got no ego. What are you talking about?
Boom.
The unions that are coming together, especially.
That's a big ass boom right there. I'm sorry. This is Soulogy. That's a big ass boom.
We do, man. Our egos
Let her talk.
make them out so subtly and in different ways. I mean, I think a lot of the shadow work that we do, and even digging deeper lately, is really looking at the unique ways that our toxicity plays out with each other, and the ways that our unique masculine toxicity and feminine toxicity does a dance and trigger each other. And it's so deeply embedded in our bodies, these stories that we've lived, not only our personal journey in this lifetime, but our families, even farther back. And so there's so much embedded in ourselves. And I think for us, we didn't really have, we've had teachers and we've had places that we've learned, but when we go to the mat with each other, we learn quicker and quicker that it's about us, and we have to go and really allow the Holy Spirit to burn out whatever that is that's continuing to want to fight, because that's what happens. It's we get in, and once we're off in a conversation, often we're embroiled in it, and we're oh my gosh, we're hooked and trapped.
Yeah. I love how these shows always coincide with what's happening in my life.
Perfect.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, brother, for sticking through and showing up and suiting up and being here present and available right now.
Yeah, totally.
Because I do know inside my being that there's something greater that wants to happen beyond what we can even understand. So the transmission that's going through is for our good, your good, and the good of many that's going to multiply. because what I truly believe is that what the world needs now is love, pure love. Pulo,
True
I like
that.
to call it. Pulo, pure love, purified. You know, we have so many distortions around what love is. And we, you know, what we've come to understand is evolutionary union. There's an evolution happening in union, in relationship, and how we do this beautiful dance together. And so thank you to your beloved for calling it forth.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I'm glad to hear that she busted the move on you like Morgan did on me.
Yeah.
So one of the things, if you want to ask a question, just tap me. So, or I'll ask.
I have to tap you if I want to ask a question.
Well, just so I'll know.
That sounds so much like
it's
you.
not controlling.
I want to ask a question, and I'm not fucking tapping you.
Oh my God! You just hit me in the head on the air.
I know.
No, I'm just joking. I don't have any
Yeah, I can
questions.
tell.
That's good. We don't do prayer. We've been instructed from the very beginning. I mean, we initially started with Herias Gamos, which we aligned in dimensions and worked through all the chakras and everything. Anytime we're in trouble, that's probably a good thing. I'll yank your ears out. Anytime we're in trouble, I didn't say.
Just keep your hands down. You're not Italian. For Christ's sake. Okay.
We have to touch palms. You know, if we're ever out of balance and we touch palms, in fact, we go to sleep every night together with one palm on top of the other. But if we're ever in trouble and we touch palms, like everything just sort of sorts itself out.
Love that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I love that, especially because there's no words. Often it's the words that keep getting us into trouble.
Yeah, no words. That's right. It's absolute silence.
Yeah.
We just connect our palms and everything sort of balances itself out.
Yeah.
Love it.
We want you. We want you to hear. We want you to hear. We welcome you. Because the fucking falling out.
So I was going to ask you. You know, it's really intriguing and interesting and vital that we are, as she told me a long time ago, the road to oneness is through individuality. And so, you know, you have this individuality, but as things progress, at least in my world, in this divine conscious union, it becomes blurry. It's like she told me a couple of days ago, she said to me, you know, you said this on the air, you know, and you need to keep in mind, so to speak, that we're together, we're one. So anything you do affects both of us. And it was a very 5D plus type of frequency from when she said it. And I really, really got it. So it's really, it's new. I mean, it's like, there's no owner's manual. Like, what's going on here? Like, you know, even in the early days when I was courting her, I couldn't get her out of my head. Even when I'd hang up on her, I'm like, oh, I'm not talking to her. And then I'd go for a walk and she'd be in my face like, Todd.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, how does that work for you? I mean, we're individuals, but we're not. I mean, is this new fertile ground for the universe? I tend to believe that it is, because of the fact that we're merging the physicality and the non-physicality. How does that work for y'all?
Thank you, brother. Such a great question.
Yeah.
You know, today we were diving deep into that very, very topic. And it's silly because, I mean, we're perfectly fit to trigger each other perfectly, to see where love isn't pouring in, where love isn't having its way, where the little child's running its show. You know, and in my transparency, you know, I said in one of the posts about this show, this will be raw and real, which I mean, raw is real, authentic, and whole, coming from wholeness. But from my wounding of a child, I was, you know, there's the story, abandonment, and, you know, just parents that weren't present. So there's this desire to be seen and heard, that will run. If not, it will run the show if I don't keep it in check. And so in the relationship, when I came in a relationship with Heather, I call it the Heather magic. You know, everybody would see Heather and I would be eclipsed. I would be over here. I'm like, forget about me. And whenever it becomes about me, I find the peace is disturbed. And so we were just talking about that we truly are one in the ways that we're moving. I always say I'm a pretty singer. You know, she's the version of me that is Heather, but the unique version of her. You know, when we get in trouble is when we're trying to go into the I.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And we stay in the we.
Yeah.
You know, that is where there's just no struggle. There's no fight. You know, when I can just let go of the need of any little I need to be heard. I need to be right.
Yes.
You know, if I can surrender, like the keys to my peace recently, I work with the Gene Keys, and my evolution relies on surrender and patience. And when I'm in surrender and patience with her, because the wounding of the masculine is that we don't trust the chaos of the feminine. We don't trust the choices. We don't trust their choices and decisions, at least in my experience. You know, because I make good decisions and I lead, you know, and I know how to drive and I'm a good decision maker and I'm instinctual. And so we'll tend to control our feminine counterpart because we'll try. I think I said try.
Yes.
And so in that place of just going, let go into the mystery. Let go into the mystery. Let go into the mystery. I don't need to control this. I trust that grace is going to show the way. And when I surrender, and that's where grace, I've learned grace so much in this relationship of just surrender. And grace shows up when you truly surrender, just surrender to it.
You know, the interesting thing about, we have a module in a program that we have been doing for a while called, the module is Sovereignty and Surrender. And it's really a paradox. It feels like so many things in this spiritual awareness ends up being a paradox. And one of them is the more sovereign we become internally, the more we are satisfied in the presence of love inside of ourselves, the more unique we're able to express ourselves, but the easier it is to surrender to the oneness in each other. I think that we're fighting for our sovereignty when we're not feeling like we're fully expressed, or we're fully finding our anchor within the truth of love in our own being, with our own God presence. And so then it becomes a power struggle. And I know that when we have each, because we do have a spiritual practice together, but it's also vitally important that we have it on our own, and that we have it in our own unique ways, that we're being so filled up by the love of the Divine Mother and the light of the Father, the wisdom of the Father, that when we come back into that place with each other, it's so much easier to meld. And you're right, every choice, seen or unseen, that we make is impacting the other. And sometimes it becomes a real tricky place when we're not aware of the other's choices. This is why purity is our power, it's our protection, it's everything. And the more that we are able to surrender to the fire with each other, surrender to the fire, you know, with the presence within, we become a powerful force, because nothing can divide that when it's pure.
Yeah, I feel like that my first well, I'm to serve myself first, and my second service is to the relationship, not Todd the man, but my first energy, my first love goes to myself, and my second energy, my second thought goes to, what does the relationship mean? What does it need? What does it desire? And I don't even have to I feel like I don't actually have to think, what does Todd need? If I'm serving myself first and then serving the relationship, then it automatically just melds to perfection.
Mm-hmm.
It's really true.
See, and for me, this is this is a recent example. So for me, I'm all about, I am soul, for Todd. But I found, like, in the last couple of days, it's like they're one and the same. Like, I know if I'm serving myself, I'm serving us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to, like, bring things down to the human experience.
Yeah.
So in the human experience, I got to tell you, this whole Mars Venus thing, although, we just spent 3 months together, and I bet we haven't argued.
It was easy.
Yeah, it was just like, and now
until yesterday.
Yeah. So she's about to leave. Everything's cool. We're in a good space, and yeah, things got a little funky. And so it's some stuff started coming back, but I think it's part of the energies coming down as a whole. But of course, it always applies to the individual and the couple in this case. And so I was like, okay, I have really worked hard in the last year and a half, since the first time she came to the States, to listen, to learn how to listen. Because going back to what you said about the masculine having issue or having a challenge with the feminine chaos, which is really not chaos. It's just a different language, right? Mm. So I said to myself, I went off on a walk by myself, a long, about 3 mile walk. And the whole time I'm saying to myself, you got to listen. She needs to be heard. And this other voice was saying, at the tail end of the walk, was saying, you need to be heard. Mm. And another thing that she taught me, thank God for the goddess, right? Mm-hmm. Mother Goddess, is if you know it, you don't have to say it. So I'm walking back thinking, okay, I can listen. I can listen. I can listen. And I don't have to say a word. And it's a struggle. It's a little bit of progress, 2 steps up, 1 back, right? So I think that's, to me, how it equates to the human experience. And I absolutely honor it and respect it and love it and adore it and revere it.
Yeah.
I know in my heart, this is fertile ground. We're expanding the breadth of Mother Universe with this experience that we're all sharing by what we're doing, because it's never been done before.
Absolutely.
Be it a divine conscious union or an individual soul declaring their sovereignty in their actions and their thoughts and their words.
Yeah. It's deep work, and it's not, it is our dharma is this relationship. It is what we do. And and we found, I'm picking up Evolutionary Union. It's Andrew Harvey's book that's amazing about sacred activism. We found for us that a lot of our troubles come when we're navel gazing, when we're like looking into what is emotional bull crap. You know what I mean? Like, let's go out and serve. Let's go out and be in action. Let's be love in action. Mm-hmm. And so when we're doing something together, we flourish. We found that whether we're moving or whether singing on stage together, producing something together, when we really get in service together, we expand, we flourish, and it's incredible. Mm-hmm.
Like right now,
lives when we're looking in. I forget the author, but the author said, "Love is not gazing inwardly at each other." Mm-hmm. You're so pretty. You're so pretty. It's gazing outward in the same direction when you're looking out in service. And too many of the twin flame dynamics, we don't really relate ourselves. We don't, not to say that we're not, but we don't teach twin flame physics. We don't teach that. With a lot of our work is really practical. It's really simple. Let love have its way through you. And what would love do in each of your interactions? Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy. It's not proud. It's not abusive. It's not keeping a record of all the wrongs, yada, yada, yada. All these things. it's really practical. And we are also very galactic, very in tune with our Syrian-Lyrian connection, you know what I mean? And beyond and beyond. But bridging heaven to earth, coming in here, how can we truly anchor these energies in is what keeps us moving and beyond our own little stories. Because we do know that the work that we do, we see it ripple in the world.
Yeah,
for sure.
True.
And really amazing because, you know, the couples that we have the honor of working with every time, well, and individuals, and I'm sure you guys see it in your work as well. It's like every time someone comes along that has been magnetized to you for you to serve them, you can see a place in your own consciousness, your own relationship, your own journey that is ready to be spotted and healed and reclaimed. It's almost like this matchup of being able to identify another pattern or another thought or belief. Because like you said, it's like we're in a completely uncharted territory where we're going, and it's almost like the living revelation that we are shows up in the people that are in our lives for whatever reason, whether we're serving them or it's like it's writing itself as we go. And that's how we know, because it resonates and it feels right. It's like you can feel the pathway forward by living it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comment?
No, I didn't tap.
Oh, you didn't tap. You haven't tapped me once. You've asked 3 questions. Yeah. Yeah, powerful. And I think that's another thing about, at least in my experience with the Divine Conscious Union, is the powerful is in the simple, right? I mean, it's in the, we still do the dishes, we still wash clothes, we still do the chores around the house. I find that as a man, I become more conscious of the little bitty things, you know, like really little bitty things that mean a lot. Like, you know, here in Kauai, as you know, they take their shoes off, right? So to position her shoes so her feet can fit into them when she comes out the door, as opposed to having to turn them, right? I know that sounds really cliche and what is it? Schmaltzy. Schmaltzy. But I find that these little things really keep the day going, right?
Totally.
They really keep the energy going. And it's like unspoken, like nothing has to be said. And most of all, what I find is that in myself, which is really weird because it's that paradox you're talking about. It's like, I know that I have to find this self-love in myself to expand anything in a parallel around me, her, whatever it is. But I find that when I do these things, it's like it lifts me, right? Like whether it's acknowledged or not, it just lifts me. And it's crazy because you would think with the galactic and the angelic and the divine essences and all the episodes that we've had and the divine intervention all of us have had, that the boom comes from that, but it really comes from these conscious human simple things that feed and nurture love.
Oh, so this, in our experience, the purification that we've gone through, you know, what's come up for me as a visual, I think you guys will appreciate this. You know, it's about perfecting the instrument to allow this divine energy to come through, right? So I see our bodies like Tesla coils. And the more we perfect our instrument in the body, the mental, emotional, physical, etherical body, and it seems to be in this kind of union, you find out where the imperfections are a little bit quicker. It's so easy to be in the meditation cave and on the mat in yoga studios. But when you decide to close the door, I'm going to get into conscious union. I want to be in union consciously. I want to speak consciously. I'm having a total deja vu right now. This is great. Wow.
It's a super deja vu.
Wow, this is a trip.
Yeah.
In the timeline, here we are. So perfecting that coil, that instrument, so that powerful blue lightning can just poof right through you and radiate out. You know, the more we, and when we get in it, we often joke, I mean, we've said this to many of those that listen to us, our second address is the cauldron. We live in the fires, the holy fire. We call upon the fire. We work with the fire. We work with the violet flame. That's a big part of our alchemy, is working with this dispensation, this fire, this light that purifies all karmic debris out of the body system. And when you're calling upon that, you will find where the cracks are, you know.
I totally love what you shared about the simplicity too, the mundane. I don't know if you guys, I think Jason referred to it earlier, but the gene keys. You guys know the gene keys, Richard Rudd's work. And Gene Key 15 really talks about the magic of life, and really finding the divine in life is finding it through the mundane. And so many of us have so much fear. And I think a lot of times in our, our spiritual journey, there's so many things that can perceptively make us feel elevated, like you shared, the angelic or the galactic. It makes us feel special. It makes us feel like our consciousness is higher than it was, or than other people, and he talks about how this place on the spiritual journey can almost take on a quality of spiritual narcissism to a point, and that the clear way through the woods is really letting go of the path completely at some point and finding the divine in the mundane and the simple and the tasks in our day that are, like you shared, Morgan, our service to each other, you know, where there's those little things that give such an inflation in our energy together, when those little things are remembered or sought out, or, you know, we take pride in doing the dishes or cleaning the house. There's something so divine about the simple.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I did have a question. I've forgotten it. I was trying so hard to remember it, and I've forgotten it. Don't you hate that? I was so listening to both of you that I forgot what I wanted to ask.
You're going to remember while I say this. But so I just happened to see, I don't really get on to the Facebook newsfeed, right? And I saw your post, and the last line about the raw and the real. And I thought, how does he know? You know, like, that's really captures it all. You know, I think it's beyond authentic, the raw and the real. And when I saw those words, I thought, oh my God, is he for real? Is this really going to happen? And so, you know, because, you know, I do almost 900 shows. This is the 799th show on Be Live. And we've probably done 100, you know, on Facebook Live in the early days. And, you know, and yeah, you know, I try to stay spontaneous and intuitive. But there's some questions that I ask, you know, 3 or 4 questions I ask everybody. But the raw real is coming through right now. And I just want to acknowledge it and say thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Question. For me, there's distinct energies, there's distinct things that happen that make us know that this is really different than anything we've done before, and that shows itself very, very quickly. Todd and I have got 3 really close friends. One I've been friends with since I was 4 years old. So that's a very long time ago now, like 45, 46 years.
25 years.
Good answer.
46 years ago, not 25 years ago. You know, that all going through it now too, and they're all saying exactly the same thing. How did you two know that this was something really, really different than what you had experienced before?
Oh my gosh, that's probably like $1 million question, because if we hadn't, I mean, there were so many God fingerprints around us coming together. It was undeniable. It was beyond either one of us anything that we could manufacture, or it was beyond a human interchange, you know. And one of the hallmarks of it was, like Jason mentioned before, there was such a pure connection. It was a connection of soul connection that it was hard to even explain. And if we hadn't had so many clear signals even early on in the relationship, you know, some of the passageways that we had to walk through together as a couple, those were always things we could go back and know for sure. It was not about us. Our coming together was not about our happiness or a small life. It was coming together to serve humanity together, to serve the divine together, to serve each other in a new way. And that was the yes for us both.
Yeah. I think, you know, we end this journey when we learn to get quiet and listen better. Mm-hmm. You know, I've had an idea for a one-man show out here in Los Angeles called Mama, I'm a Good Listener. Mm-hmm. And it's really, it's multi-dimensional, right? Because Mother, the Divine Mother, mm-hmm. I hear you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel you. Mm-hmm. I hear you. And I'm a good listener. And listening means paying attention and watching. You know, I loved as a kid playing dot to dot. I would just love the dot to dots. And I'm a really good dot connector. And so when I pay attention to divine synchronistic events, mm-hmm. and watching, you know, reading the field, reading the matrix or so, you're just going, oh, I can see that there's a blueprint. I can see the dots start to come together. And it goes beyond what I think in my human understanding. Mm-hmm. And so learning to pay attention, like I said, when I first saw her, she had fleur-de-lis, golden fleur-de-lis all around her. That was just, I'm like, okay, pay attention. And when I prayed with her, I felt what I felt inside, that there was something. When I held her hand, when I kissed her for the first time, you know, when just the moments that would lead up and that continue, like this relationship is not about me and when I get my little needs. It's not about Heather and her needs. This is something bigger. Mm-hmm. And we know that we just have to surrender to that when the fires get hot. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what keeps us, mm-hmm. you know, it keeps us on the map. Prayers for us, and prayers in any language. We come from traditional Christian paradigm, left the Jesus of our understanding to gain true Christic consciousness. Mm-hmm. And prayer, and, you know, I trained to become a practitioner in religious science and understanding how to open up the field of the mental field and pull the absolute truth into the relative world of effect. You know, that's what prayer is to us now. It's just working with the divine holographic universe in a language that it speaks. And so that's what prayer has become. It's not a praying to something outside of you, mm-hmm. but praying to the God presence within us, knowing that there's something beyond us, mm-hmm. keeps us. And so
all along our journey too, we've had it's been continuous unfolding of hit the mark and life opens up. I mean, I'm sure you guys experience the same thing, you know, in your alignment, because the kind of energy field that a union like this creates it brings things into the field that are beyond what either one of you ever could individually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
And I hadn't thought about this I'm 57, so 50 years, but the whole connect the dot thing, I totally get that. I totally get that. I get that. The way you describe it when you were a kid and now.
Yeah.
Mm. And that's a really, really big thing right now for me, because for the last 3 years, I saw the dots and I connected them in a reckless abandon. Mm. that drove her nuts, you know, but I knew I was at least, you know, at times holding that magic. And I knew it was, and I, you know, I'm going to say it. I knew it was my masculine strength to be able to say, okay, I'm going to go do this. And it looked like shit. It looked like, you know, and then the other thing is too, about the whole thing about bringing in these, I mean, we've had from the get-go, especially in the physical, we have had these incredible divine episodes, including materialization of energy, of beings, of whatever, that have just been off the hook, you know? And it's like, we're almost like, even now.
I liked that, yes.
Right? You got it. But it's almost like you go to bed at night thinking, okay, what's going on tonight? You know? Because I went to bed a couple nights ago. I was like, F all that. This is about us. I lit 3 candles. I'm like, to hell with y'all. It's about us. She's leaving in 3 days. But so getting back to so I see this mission that we're all on. We all showed up, and I say it on the show all the time. Every one of us showed up. Every single one of us showed up. We don't have to step up. We showed up. But there is a mission within the mission, within the mission, within the mission. And for me, I know it all comes down to the individual, but there's something different here. She told me a long time ago, she wears this necklace.
Yeah, I was curious.
Right? It's a triple, whatever. What is it?
It's a Taurus knot.
It's a Taurus knot, yeah. And she told me a long time ago, before I understood anything, because when I met her, I was not even in the light worker circles, you know. And she said she bought it or obtained it because we were going, she received from the universe that we were going from duality to the Trinity. And I got to believe, I know that this is part of it. Part of it is in that triad, in that holy triad. Like, it's happened to me in the last 2 days. We've not been aligned, but we have been. What is that? You know, I mean, we haven't been on a human level, but at some level we were. Yeah. And it's like every thought, like I'll give you, she get mad at me after the show. We went down to the beach today. Yeah. You know, we had the morning to do after 90 days of bliss, and we go down the beach. I need to go to the beach. I'm like, okay, I'm hungry. So we stop at the food trucks, and I go get some food, and she's gone for an hour, for 2 hours, for 2.5 hours. And I'm like, the voice came in and said, she went home, which is about a 2-mile walk. And I thought, okay. And sure enough, 2 minutes later, she messages me and says, I am home. So, you know, it's like the epitome of one mind. Yeah. And I know it starts in this holy triad, but I also have seen it in the energetic fields with what I do, which is to see these triads start spinning. And then another one spins, and another one spins. And it doesn't matter if you're husband and wife, or mother and daughter, or whatever the relationship is, or friend and friend. They just start spinning, and it's contagious, and that's what's happening. You know, and it's a beautiful thing. So, yeah.
Love that. Yeah, definitely find triad.
She's tapping.
Yeah, okay. I feel more.
So how do you guys see yourselves? Like, how would you explain your relationship?
Good question. You mean aside from like the whole twin flame thing? I mean, we definitely do not, we have not identified ourselves as twin flames for the reason that there's so much misnomer around all of that. And I think there's so much suffering around, you know, just what people consider that to be. And, you know, they're trying to find someone outside of themselves to complete themselves. And so distancing ourselves from any of that. How would you describe us?
Sheesh, man. Well, it's like the first thing that comes to my mind is when in the Tao Te Ching, if you're familiar with the Tao, the Tao says, the first line of the Tao Te Ching says, the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. To name it is to limit it, to define it, to call it what this is, you know, is to define it. It's ineffable, it's undescribable in a lot of ways. It's practical, it's simple, it's powerful, it's potent, it's juicy, it's delicious, it's got all, you know, it's magnetic, it's electric, it's in service to life, it's
that.
Yeah. And I didn't mean a label. I meant, like, you know, how do you work? What are you? Like, what is this divine feminine, divine masculine? What do they do together? We're the same. We don't like any labels or anything at all either. So yeah, I meant beyond labels. Like, how do you work together? What do you do?
Yeah. That's been a multifaceted
love life together. We do a lot of our life together. I mean, it's a joy. We're together a lot. We run our business. We, you know, the Powers of Love is a ministry. We love coaching couples together, and we love doing it. We work with a lot of couples in crisis, you know, that are that are ready to, you know, dating or engaged or married, have been married for a long time, but they're ready to shift. They know, you know.
We work with individuals too, though. And a lot of the work that we do is, you know, early on when we really started kind of focusing on couples, we felt drawn to, or we felt like what would be magnetized to us were couples that were in the realm of an evolutionary partnership or had the potential of, say, a power couple. You know, I mean, that sounds cliche, but a lot of times these couples come together with a lot of trauma stuff and things that need to be worked through. And so we work with them as couples. We work with them as individuals, knowing that we each carry, you know, unique medicine for a masculine and feminine journey. A lot of our work is to reconcile the differences between the masculine and feminine, to bring them to light in all their raw, messy, gorgeous, you know, chaotic, whatever, and allow people to be heard and seen for where they are, and then bring their whole self to the conversation with their partner. And I think, you know, it's interesting because we've been hearing a lot about therapy for couples lately, or therapy that other couples have been walking through. And everything that we do is based on absolute, real, raw, whole, and like you said, beyond authentic. It's just whatever it is in the moment. How do you bring whatever it is in the moment and it be okay, and provide a space for a couple to let it all hang out, no matter how messy it is? Because that's the only way through it for any of us.
Yeah. Other ways we serve, I guess, is we do a lot of gatherings with community. We offer chants. We love to sing together. And that's a way we serve. Music's our passion. It's our life. You know, I've been a DJ, producer for 26 years out here in Los Angeles. And you know, getting people to move their bodies to music is a joy. And then so we're just bringing music to, because we know that's the universal language. And so in service to, you know, we were, back when Standing Rock was going on, we were called in to produce 50 days of sacred activism, a call to sacred activism, bringing Indigenous leaders. And so Heather and I find ourselves, we're kind of connected to a lot of circles, kind of like the flower of life. We're in this, you know, there's a lot of concentric circles that we find ourselves connected to. So we serve in multiple ways, multidimensional ways. We know that.
How about you guys?
I was going to say, that's that same thing I see. So when I do these shows, since the get-go, I see the energy of everyone has their own skills and abilities, right? I see the energy of the people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this vortex, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just what you were talking about. It's like this little, I call it the holy triad. You know, it's just one of those pieces of that flower of life. It starts spinning, and then another one will start spinning, and another one, and another one. And you're right, it is multidimensional.
Mm-hmm.
So to your question, Morgan will have to answer for herself. I mean, it's been an evolution. You know, it literally, Soulogy started from a broken man who was connecting to the highest levels. So on the surface, there was a hole in his heart, but I was absolutely connected to the highest levels. And so a couple of years go by. I walked the streets for a couple of years at my own place for about a year, and then I met her, and she used to tell me, if you don't embody it, it doesn't count. If you don't embody it, it doesn't mean anything. And for 2 years, I literally asked her, what does that mean? What does that mean? And it took me a while to understand that I understood that I am soul. And I understood, because I used to come out and say, I'm not a human being, I am soul. But then I came to understand that the human is a hero through her. And I think our work has been not anything that's been strategically laid out. I literally heard from the consciousness of Archangel Michael on her birthday, which I didn't know her. I wouldn't know her for 3 years. On her birthday, I was given the name Soulogy. I said, what does it mean? They said, the other side of truth. So 3 years later, I meet her, and then I find out on that day, on her birthday, I received that message. So I believe, I feel that for me to go on in my old studio with no shirt on and wild hair and hungover and high and all that shit, doing videos from my heart all over the place, I was looking for her. I was looking for her to see me, to see my heart. And then when she came in, it was a slow progression without any rational thought or planning or anything like that until a point came when she said, you need, because I was already out there. She said, you need to bring people on and talk about their experiences and their skills and abilities. And you should call it SOULSPEAKS 5D. True story. And so I did. But she's, I think, in my perspective, the physical representation of the goddess energy, of the mother goddess, which is the producer. She's a producer, I'm the doer. And I was asking myself today, is this how this shit works in all the realms? Is it this way everywhere? Because if it is, I'm cool with it. But yeah, I think our work has been, it's been a natural thing. It's been a very natural thing. And that's what I would say. What would you say?
You know, I want a presence. Michael's very present today. Uber present. I carry a lot of Michelson. And this is from Lake Banff. This is from his retreat.
Yeah.
So I just want a presence. Archangel Michael's presence is very strongly with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's the one that came for me. And I don't understand all that stuff.
Is that?
What is that? Yeah. He told me we sent Gabriel and we sent Raphael, but you wouldn't listen.
What is that? Oh, damn. Oops.
Can you see it?
I'm not touching my glasses. Ouch.
What are you seeing?
Well, he's not doing it now.
Well, damn.
Oh, do you want to see it? Okay.
Yeah. We have a lag.
Oh.
So
It almost looks like it has a dragon on it, but
Okay, I'll wait till they put it up again. I've got a question.
there it is.
Oh.
No, you're supposed to answer.
What is that?
Our word. Oh, there, I saw the dragon. I saw the
Wow,
dragon.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice a difference, like a real difference in our previous relationships to these relationships? And how is the feminine serving the masculine in this relationship, and how is the masculine serving the feminine differently in this relationship, in these relationships, these divine conscious relationships? You know, what do you guys see as the difference?
Well, you know, as I was listening to you speak, Todd, it's very interesting because I find myself in the producer role, you know, behind Heather. You know, my journey led me a lot. I was raised by my mother, and I was in touch with the mother energy and the feminine energy years before I even knew what that was. I didn't understand it. So we've come to understand the beautiful balance of the Eros Gamos, the Unio Mystica union is truly balance. What I call the 1111 gateway, right? When two individuals come in their wholeness, that's the gateway. That's the stargate. These divine unions are stargates. So we kind of balance both each other because, you know, for instance, we produce and direct an amazing transformational experience called the Phoenix Rising. We go back and forth to China in the East, and we offer these beautiful Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha, these beautiful Himalayan transmissions. And it's a beautiful dance in how we do it together. And we find it, there is no specific, you know, there's strengths and things that we have, but we find it shifts. We have, you know, Heather's really good with graphics, and I might be good. I've got natural sales techniques or whatever. I mean, but we really work in tandem together.
The roles are kind of dissolving almost. It feels like we often used to kind of joke that he's the Magdalene and I'm the Yeshua, or we take turns going back and forth because it feels like it more and more effortlessly. We just see where one of us might have the piece of the puzzle that needs to lead the charge at any given moment. And so we, you know, there are definitely natural things that we kind of lean into and that give us the most grace and ease in serving and supporting each other. And then we're both learning to grow and stretch in our capacity to really hold the space for the other to like lead the charge in the other role. Like
in this relationship, we talk about it. I don't want to always drive. Literally, I would like be the one driving around Southern California because she didn't know a lot of the places. But I'm like, I don't want to be the one driving all the time. I want you to feel like you can drive, right? And I want to be in the passenger seat once in a while and just kind of relax. And so I would say, wouldn't you say that in this relationship, you've been called to take leadership, to you know, because I don't want to be that all the time. And I think coming in balance.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because that's the same energy of not being attached. We spent so much time not being attached, all of us, to our stories.
Yeah.
And then this high level stuff comes in, and it's a challenge to the ego to not be attached to I'm Jesus' son or I'm Archangel Michael incarnate or whatever. But to say what you're saying really gives me a big sigh of relief because I know the next 900 episodes, Morgan's going to be doing most of the shows.
No. I don't like doing shows. But I was so excited about this show today, and I know that we've sort of. I knew that we've sort of wobbled a bit in the last couple of days as we're preparing for me to leave not tomorrow morning, next morning.
Yeah.
We've wobbled. We have wobbled. So I thought, no, I really need to be here to support that. Todd doesn't want to ask this question. I'm going to because I don't
say
mind.
that.
You did.
I
You
didn't
said, no,
say that.
you asked that question.
That didn't mean I didn't want to say it.
All right. What about the sex is what I was going to ask. How different is the sex? It's you know, I want to, and you guys can go as far as you want to, but, you know, I'm 51 years old and I've been in a couple of relationships, and this is so different. It's almost like, look, one's not smiling and the other one is smiling. I love that. That's beautiful. Heather's smiling. Isn't this the divine conscious union? Sexuality is so different than anything that we've ever experienced before.
100%.
Oh, and he shook his head. No.
He's behind us. There's a lag.
Oh, okay.
There's a lag.
Okay, I have to watch this again.
Yeah.
Isn't this something really different?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Yeah, totally.
And
how many ways could we say it? I mean, I'll say, do you want to go first?
Yes.
I can say that, you know, it's a big question. It's a big topic. And so thank you again for asking it. You know, first of all, the foundation of it is trust, and leaking energy anywhere else is a very important part of our sex life. So that energy stays confined in pure, potent energy, and so it's not leaking anywhere else. You know, I come personally. This is where we get raw and real, everybody. You know, I came from years of pornography addiction. You know, and spent 2 years in Sexaholics Anonymous, and it broke my first marriage apart. You know, 11 years old, I found my father's porno mags, and it became, you know, I grew up in a very alcoholic home. It was just not a, you know, so that that neurotransmitter got hooked on to pornography as a source of soothing, of self-soothing. And so redefining that and keeping that energy, I wanted to be pure. I wanted to be pure. Coming from the Christian paradigm, where it was shamed and you were told, I left that whole paradigm kind of giving God the finger, going, look, you created me this way. I don't understand, you know, why you're telling me I shouldn't. This is, you know, F you, I'm going. And dive deep into whatever, you know, there were no rules, but my soul was calling for something that was, I wasn't able to define it. Yeah. And in this sacred union, in this conscious union, closing the doors, going, look, it's all here. It's all for you. And it is it's alchemy. It's pure alchemy.
This was like when we came together, you know, we both had a lot of distortion around sexuality. And for me, I hadn't been faithful in marriage. I had a lot of self-medicating stuff that I was dealing with, a lot of addiction, you know, and it showed up in different ways for both of us. And in that first conversation, though, the cry of our heart was to have purity, because somehow we knew that to have a union that was sacred, that it would unlock all of the yumminess, all of the things that and not just from a physical perspective, but the things that were unlocking the deeper treasures of our soul and our, you know, the ability to create together, early babies. Because we're probably around your guys' age, you know, we knew that we weren't going to have children together, but that we would create worlds together, and that our sacred physical connection was a very, very big part of that. And so, you know, just a lot of our burning through stuff has been related to sexual distortion, the toxic feminine energy in retaliation and frustration towards that energy, and allowing it to come to a place where, you know, the deeper we dive into the purity of this energy, the more wonderful it becomes, the more radiant we both become, the more magnetic our field is, because there's such deep trust, and the exploration gets more beautiful. Just everything is so, it becomes safer and safer and safer.
And that this very topic is part of our prayer work. We know that when we come together intimately, it is part of our prayer work. You know, it's not just getting our needs met. It's a language in of itself, and it's helped heal so many things. You know, so, and it's not, when we say purity, I really want to clarify.
Not prudity.
Yeah, it's not proved by any means. It's
Say
exploratory.
that again.
It's not what?
Purity is not proved. We're not
True.
talking about prudeness. We definitely want to clarify that.
Yes,
Yes.
I get that.
Yeah, we spoke at Star Knowledge Conference a couple of years ago about this very topic, and it was you know, we wanted to clarify that when we speak about purity, you know, it's electric and powerful. You know, it's not.
It has a tone of absolute innocence. It's almost like we're taking back to the innocence of, you know, the beginning and everything else that we've experienced for the last 30 or whatever years gets cleared, and we actually get to start again.
Yes, that's
so the purity is innocence. It's not prudeness.
It's raw and real.
Yes.
Raw.
Delightfully.
It's raw, roar.
Distinction, because you guys, I know, have seen in a lot of the spiritual communities, there is a lot of open relationship. There's a lot of, with no judgment upon any of that, but our path has been different. Our path has been for the sacredness of creating restoration to the true relationship between a masculine and feminine as a reflection of the beloved relationship. This is just this is
the sacred sexuality, that true sacred,
right?
And and it's every element of fun and sensuality and
innocence.
Innocence. Well, innocence, I think, is the key word.
Yeah,
innocence is raw, and it's real.
It's when we come back to the garden and we can go, look, I can take my leaf off and just allow you to show up. You know, restoring Eden is a big part of, you know, in our language of restoring the codes of Edenic life, where we live in trust and harmony and balance with all life. And that is work. It takes work, and it gets ugly sometimes because we have so much. We're working with 7 generations back and 7 generations forward, and we're coming to the 0 point. And there's so much healing that we're clearing from our ancestral wounding that plays in the karmic field, in our interactions and languages and belief systems. And so it's not for the faint of heart, but this is where, as we continue to stay in the fires as unions and work and be a little bit of willingness to let something greater than what we think happen, it's affecting, this is the, you know, we work with esoteric science, new world servers. We're here as a new world servers to usher in the golden age of miracles. Right?
Yeah. It's like I told her the other day, she's going to get mad at me.
That's 2 times you've said that.
I did. I said, can I see your breast? And I told her, I said, it's like I'm looking at your breast for the first time.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen it before. Literally, like a kid on Christmas Day opening a present. And I didn't even touch it. I just said, may I see it? I was about to go on a show. And I was like, may I see your breast? You know? I mean, it's like that. That's the energy of it.
That innocent.
It is. It's that innocence.
And Todd has had to go through a phase of actually consciously letting go of everything that he thought that he was, of the performance, of the erections, of the all of it, like stripping back down to nothing.
Yeah.
To actually align with that innocence.
Totally.
And I think it works both ways. I know it does. Because when there's times when I'm in my innocence and I express and I can feel the vibration of, oh, I've seen that before. You know, and that might be a little bit of an extreme kind of description, but you're right. We're both working through those toxicities, as you said.
Yeah.
We're both working through that. We're all working through that. I mean, me and her. I mean, all of us.
Yeah.
And you know, it's. I'll be honest with you. She knows. Everybody knows. I got no filters. I lost my balls. You know, it's gone.
Mm.
The erection thing, I don't care. You know, it's gone. I don't care. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, I told her.
That's only recently, though.
Yeah, but I mean, this is all energetic. This is just human words, right? I told her today and yesterday, you know, the highest praise, and this is not a cliche, and this is not some woo-woo, right? The highest praise I can give this universe, the highest love I can give to myself and to her in all things is to make love to it. However I can with whatever I have. And that doesn't even have to be unclothed. That can be holding a hand. It can be washing some dishes. It can be preparing her water in the morning for the tea that she drinks every morning. That's it. And so as a masculine going through all that we've gone through, because there are two different roads, it's a big deal. It's a big, big deal. And as we all know, when we give it up, it comes back.
Amen.
So, you know, I mean, I know whatever I have released, it's coming back in a way I couldn't even imagine. So that's been my masculine, a part of my masculine journey on this divine conscious union has been allowing or releasing the sexual paradigms and just saying, fuck it. Let me crawl up to you soft. You know what I mean?
Wow,
right?
bro.
We love you guys.
My goodness gracious. You made me tear up.
Totally. Oh,
Thank you. That's beautiful.
thank you.
So we should do this again. When Morgan comes back, I haven't asked her because we have one mind now, and I respect it. We're only 2 hours. I'm sorry, 2 hours on the time, but 5 hours on a flight. When she comes back, June 1, give or take, then we need to get together because we recently had an experience just by default. We ended up staying at a place, and then one of the many places we stayed before we found some roots. And she got a transmission. We stepped outside and had a walk, and she started channeling as the divine feminine does, right? And she said, we are in the space of another divine couple. And when that happens, it's like an explosion, right? In the physicality. And we did have an explosion that night, and I won't get into the details.
Save that for another time.
I often wonder what happened upstairs. We were downstairs in the studio, but it was nice. It was really cool. But anyway, so I think we should get together. LA's $150 flight. So, you know,
Good.
It's been a real pleasure. It's been a real honor.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Thank you both.
So can we ask them, you know, do they have any sites? You know, do they work with people? Can we hear about that?
Yeah, we've actually thepowersoflove.com. Join the community. Come over there. You know, there's so much goodness coming. We're excited to announce we've got we're going to be doing a lot of more free webinars. And one of the things we got coming up on the 12th of this month is we're going to do a webinar on forgiveness, radical forgiveness. And so to be a part of that, just get on our email list and let us know. But that's coming up on Tuesday on the 12th.
And then we're launching our Awakening Love program again. We've taken 2 rounds of couples this 6-week journey, and so we're automating it now. And they can go to the Powers of Love and find out more about that. But it's a really powerful dive into these gateways, sacred sexuality being the last one.
We've got another last one that's coming through.
Well, yeah, we do have another one.
7, you know, the perfection of 7. We've got the 7th module that's coming together. which is actually a retreat with us, and that's working with alchemy. We're going deeper into alchemizing and what that means. So
that's when you guys said let's get together. That was the first thing that popped into my mind. Couples retreat.
Totally.
Couples retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you are you happy to put all of that in the comments, like put all of your pages up, like any links that you need to in the comments here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like when we get off, if you add it on there.
Your transmission when you speak is very potent and powerful. I know that you hide behind there, but I want to encourage you. Your medicine and your presence is powerful. You know, we caught you with our dear soul friends, Honey and Michael, and watching you come out and speak and share. It's a beautiful dance, and
yes, more powerful.
Yes, it takes the pressure off me.
I like being the producer behind the scenes. I don't like.
Yeah, but you know
came
how
on
it goes.
tonight because I was so determined
it all
that
turns into one.
I was so determined that you two came out. It was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that this show goes ahead.
Yeah.
But thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and look forward to collaborating with you again.
Yeah.
Please put your links in the comments.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
We'll load this one up to YouTube. We got about 85 to do, but we'll do this one first.
Yeah.
How's that?
Bye.
safe travels. Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank
y'all
you.
See y'all later. Thank you.